In this episode, we're going to explore how smart franchising isn't just about following proven paths. It's about spotting underserved markets, designing scalable models, and building a brand that solves real, everyday problems. So whether you're a franchisor, franchisee, an investor, or just a growth-minded leader and entrepreneur, this is a blueprint worth hearing.
Welcome to Fortify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Joining me is Sean Fitzgerald. He's the president of True Blue Home Service Ally. Now, he's got over 30 years of experience in franchising, and he brings a wealth of experience to True Blue. Now, since 2020, he's been at the helm of True Blue, the only national franchise focused on total house care for seniors. Sean, welcome to today's show.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, I know we were talking briefly in the green room. You're like, hey, who are my listeners and what are we going to talk about? But it's all about business growth and franchising. So you've been in franchising now for, over 3 decades. First, what drew you to True Blue's unique model? So share with our listeners, what is True Blue and who do you serve?
Yeah, so it's a really unique concept in the fact that we're categorized as handyman, but we're really focused on aging in place and fall prevention for seniors. So you mentioned I've been in franchising for many years. One of those stops, I was executive vice president of a senior care franchise where I learned about the senior industry from a business perspective. But as many of us have personal experience dealing with aging parents and so forth. So I was going through it with myself from a personal perspective, and I was working in it. So I had a great appreciation for it. And one of the things I learned many years ago in that space was the aging in place. The missing component was the home environment, a safe environment that's well maintained. And there's a lot of great industries that are out there that are taking care of the individual at home, but there was no real solution to aging in place from an ongoing maintenance and just simple to-do list chores around the home. And that's what makes True Blue extremely unique, is that we're that missing piece of the puzzle, that we can work collaboratively with the senior care industry. And we just focus on the home environment and then making sure that it is, number one, as safe as it can be. We also do the senior modifications if those are needed. But the missing piece that's been really a challenge for people is the to-do list chores and just the maintenance of the home. And these seniors, if they don't have someone that can help them, try to do it themselves. And that's where the falls really occur. I believe a lot of these falls occur for seniors doing things they should not be doing. And with True Blue, with our 3-step aging in place process, doing assessment, doing the modifications, but the ongoing subscription and maintenance, that way we can make sure these homes are safe and well taken care of, and get those step ladders out of the homes. And so seniors aren't trying to change the light bulbs and so forth. And that's what makes True Blue such a unique model. And I hear from our franchisees all the time that I ask them, why did you join True Blue? And their response is like, I was looking for a great business opportunity where the upside was very high, but that business with a purpose where I can bring it to my community and feel really good about what I do. And ironically, that's why I joined True Blue. Is I had a great career in franchising, doing a lot in the industry. And then when I discovered True Blue, I felt like this is something that I can contribute towards and help grow, but feel really good about what we're doing and what we're building. And it's been a fun ride for the last 5 years.
Well, one of the great things, too, is you're in a niche market that's only growing, right? And as the population gets older, I was the opening keynote speaker for senior helpers and for comfort keepers, and I could name a bunch of other ones. So I've worked with those franchisees that are providing that in-care service, but I've never had a brand like yours that are actually helping the aging in home and their environment, which I think is really important. I know for me, I'm 64, so okay, I'm aging, but I'm still able-bodied. But I mean, I have stuff my honey-do list around my house, and I'm like, I'm thinking about this. Do I really want to be getting up on ladders and climbing on the roof and cleaning gutters and doing other things and doing maintenance? And the other thing you guys do is you really do work with making sure that the home from front to back, which I like, is your whole assessment. So you're really looking at it from a solution standpoint, from a value added standpoint. So I just think it's great. I'm glad to talk to somebody that's doing something new and innovative, which certainly in an industry that's not getting any smaller, is it?
No, it's a huge industry, and they used to talk about the silver tsunami or the baby boomers, but with the advancement of medical technology, people are going to live longer, and this problem is not going away. And so, we have to find solutions, and the cost of medical coverage, the cost of assisted living facilities or nursing homes are very, very expensive, and they're running out of space. And so the solution is aging in place. And I don't care whether it's Medicare or private pay, everybody's moving in that direction. And the missing piece of the puzzle of doing it correctly is ensuring that the home environment is safe and well maintained. So the exciting thing about our business and our industries right now, it's, heavily private pay, essentially families are paying for it, just like the senior care industry is. But we're seeing trends of this being covered through, whether it's Medicare Advantage programs and platforms or other types of coverage that we feel we can contribute as we grow and this industry grows. So our future is really exciting. And if it just, the way it is today, it's great business and it's a tremendous opportunity, but that wave is still coming. And that's what makes it really exciting to come to work every day. Because like you mentioned, some of the brands like Comfort Keepers and Senior Helpers, we work with those organizations to complement their business, because if we can keep these seniors in the home longer, that's going to be more business opportunity for them. That's and right. We actually have senior care operators who have True Blues also. So they're diversifying their senior industry into this space because they see it as well.
Yeah, I can see that would be a really good branch to do that. I mean, as you know, I've done over 500 episodes now of Fortify Live in different series, and I speak about business growth and local marketing and success. And what I love is getting CEOs on the program or presidents like you that really are at the forefront of driving a brand. So since you've been at the helm, you guys have seen enormous growth. What are some of the challenges? And for those listening right now, we're live right in Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and a few other places. And the audio becomes the Business Growth Show podcast. So this is live. He has no idea what I'm going to ask. Neither do I, Sean. So we're all good. So this is live. So I'm just curious, what are some of the challenges you've seen in this space as you started to grow? Not just the growth challenges, finding the best franchisees, but what are some challenges that you guys have had to overcome in the growth of True Blue?
None. It's been really easy. I'm
perfect.
Joking. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot to it. I think the number one challenge is awareness. That's the one thing is that people, the good news is that the senior care industry has been around for 25, 30 years. So people understand that aging in place is now an option. The real question is how, and getting people to understand that how, like, you got to look at the home environment. So we always say at True Blue is like aging in place starts with the home, and it's kind of overlooked in many cases. So the challenging thing for us is that, and it's what the senior care industry faces too, is that seniors don't pick up the phone and ask for help. And so you have to hit the referral sources. You got to be connected in the community. You got to be connected to the influencers, the doctor's offices, and so forth. So, and because we're unique, they're not quite used to having someone like us come to their office and say, this is what we do. Now, the good news I will say is that when we do get the opportunity to talk to people in the senior industry, the first response we typically get is, where have you been? We've been looking for this for a long time. So it's not a top of mind type service that we have. But once people understand it, it's like, this makes complete sense. And especially the senior and the medical community. Now, I will give you an example of what was challenging for me personally. Was I took the role in January 2020, and I was like, we are going to be more focused on the senior industry, which is connecting to the medical community and the senior industry. And that's through referral marketing and networking and connecting. We then developed this platform program, training. I presented this at our conference in February of 2020, the end of February of 2020. And as you can imagine, everybody knows what happens next in March of 2020. COVID hit, and it was like, okay, just hold on for a few months. You can't get to the doctor's offices and so forth. So that 2 months turned into about 2.5 years. And so we couldn't go and hit the referral channels like we wanted to. But you know what happened was our business exploded. And one of the reasons why is because of our higher standards of service. So we apply the same standards that the senior care industry does. That these technicians are our employees. They're screened, they're background checked, and they're insured. And you know what? That resonates with non-seniors too. And so I suspected that would be a great differentiator for us in the handyman space, and it definitely is. And so the combination of the two makes it a great business opportunity and model, because just like you were saying before, the average senior care client is 83. Our average client's 50 plus. And so they're not in need of senior modifications, but they're busy. I have 2 daughters, and I spent the last several years going to volleyball games and doing all that on the weekends and working during the week. I couldn't keep up with the home environment. So having a platform or program like our maintenance package, and it's subscription based, and we come out once a quarter to take care of routine maintenance and be able to take care of any repairs as needed. That resonates with everybody who owns a home. And so that's the other exciting thing about this, is that not only we focus on helping people age in place and fall prevention, but I think we also have a solution that resonates with all homeowners as they maintain their homes, because just like their vehicles, I used to jokingly say, I want to be the Jiffy Lube to the home, because in the 90s, Jiffy Lube pounded in everybody's head. You got to get your cars maintained. Well, everybody does that now. No questions asked. But their home's the same, but yet nobody does it. And the reason why is they don't know what needs to be done. And so with our preventative kind of maintenance package, where it's very prescriptive, we're going to come out once a quarter and take care of these things. These need to be done on a regular basis, which most people don't do. And then to prevent major, obviously repairs and costly repairs. And it resonates with anybody who owns a home.
Yeah. So let's anchor a couple of the key points that you've shared with our listeners today. And so for those of you listening again, it's Sean Fitzgerald. He's the president of True Blue. I'm going to spell it for the audio portion. It's TRUBLU, like True Blue without the E, truebluealley.com. So TRUBLUEALLY.com. Check them out.
Ally. Yeah. It's Ally. True Blue Ally. Yeah. We want to be their ally. Yes.
I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. So that's who we are, but let's anchor a couple of the key things that you just shared. One, for those of you listening, he talked about marketing. He talked about identifying opportunities and looking at your centers of influence. So the action step for those of you listening would be, who are the centers of influence in your local community that reach the same target prospect you reach that could refer you business? And so that's one thing you really want to look at, because you can get the direct referrals from the word of mouth customers that we all have in our businesses. But then it's the center of influences. Who else reaches the same person? Just like you said with Senior Care or Comfort Keepers, and there's dozens of other companies, but that not only are they maybe a franchise owner for those, maybe they're a multi-unit or multi-brand where they might become a True Blue Ally franchise. So one, center of influence. Then he talked about the importance of looking at the opportunity, that it's an unknown thing. And because when someone wants repairs done, I mean, they can go to Angie's List, they can go to Home Advisor, they can go to Google and Perplexity, and they can just search, or they can typically get someone, what in the industry, you and I know, Sean, are called chucking a truck, right? They're non-insured. They have a truck. They're going to do repairs, but they're not going to do it to the standards. And what I like about what True Blue is really offering is that it's proactive, not reactive. It's preventative. They don't know what they don't know. So they're not expecting the senior person or the person to figure out what they need. That's more, they know they have a need, and then getting the right customized services and the solutions for you. And the fact that it's a subscription-based model, which I think is really successful, not only from a franchisee standpoint, but from the customer standpoint, for a great customer experience. So congratulations. I think you have a really great model. And for your, if you look at the future, you've reached over 100 units now. That's like that magic button. Where do you see the growth in the future for True Blue? I think it's huge, but I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, I see two. So I see the kind of like medical and senior industry growth, and then I also see just like the home, the standard consumer that owns a home segment as well, the home services segment, and the needs are a little bit different. The services are the same, but needs are different. And when it comes to the senior component, um, like they're looking for a solution to help people age in place, and so and they know that the home environment is that challenge. And so what I see in the future is that our subscription services are relatively inexpensive, and that's something that I think it could be easily subsidized by. It could be health insurance programs, it could be long-term disability programs, it could be whatever it is. It could even be Medicare Advantage platforms that for them, if you look at it from a fall preventative measure, it's really inexpensive. And to be honest with you, which I still think is the number one cause, is seniors doing things they shouldn't be doing. There's no device for that other than our platform, our program. So I'm really excited about the future of that, because I think that this could be an industry. It's not today, but a lot of our services could be through what we call national accounts, and then our franchisees are just servicing, and the business is coming to them. So that's really exciting for the future there. But then you look at the home services side of it, the senior side of it, and just I think once people realize that there is an opportunity to have somebody come out and just do routine maintenance and make sure the home is in good shape and repairs, but also just that ally that they can call for anything. And we see that a lot. They'll call us for things they know we don't do, but they know that we know people who do them. So like roofing, we don't do roofing, but they trust us and say, who do you recommend, or can you have someone come out, or anything like that. And we've already seen it. I mean, we've had seniors. I had a franchisee tell me that a senior called them up and said, where should I get my car fixed? So that's right. When your real trusted ally is when they're going to you for everything. And from a homeowner's perspective, whether it's a senior or just a busy adult, I feel really excited about how we can play a significant role in that. And our customers really are yearning for someone they can trust. And when it comes to home services, I mean, if you're lawn service and things like that, if the guy has a background or sketchy, do you really, you don't like it, right? But the door's locked and he's outside, right? And right. So the minute you invite someone to open the door and let them in, that's a whole nother environment. And that's where, our higher standards of service and our true blue method and our true pro technicians really matters. And someone's going to more than willingly pay for a little bit more for that peace of mind and that worry-free living. And that's what people get with True Blue Home Service Ally, is that ally. And it's interesting because we hear so often that's so hard to find, which is surprising given all the options that people have. But that really kind of focused to that being that ally and that company that you can truly trust, and not just say it, but live by it, is really important. And I think consumers resonates very well with consumers.
Well, it shows in your Google reviews and it shows in your reputation, and there's always choices, right? When looking at any service, when it's never a price issue. I talk to franchisees all the time where, they're trying to grow and they say, well, there's increased competition and we need to lower our fees. And I always tell people there's never a problem about price. It's always value. And one of the things that True Blue has done really well is they've created that higher standard, that net promoter score, that customer experience that actually lets them see, look, this is the value. And especially coming into your home. I mean, the professionalism that you guys offer, the trust factor. And in my book, Accelerate, that I wrote for franchises, I talk about becoming the prime resource professional. And that's really what your whole brand is about being an ally, is once they know you, like you, and trust you, they're going to call you for like the roof and their car repair or whatever else, because they built that relationship. And that's what I think is really good when it comes to the local franchise taking responsibility and accountability for their own territory, is it's building those strong relationships in the community, not just the senior relationships and the medical places that could refer people, but just the community in general. What are some things that you suggest to your franchisees to reach out and build relationships in the community?
It is a huge key to success for our franchise. And we train them on being that local authority on aging in place or just routine home maintenance. And so, we train them a lot on how to network, who to talk to, how to speak to them and all that. But it's so critical to the success of the brand. And, interestingly enough too, is like, I always talk about True Blue and I talk about branding, and I tell them it's not a logo. And I said, you are the brand of, so we want you, you are the face of your community. And I said, that is our brand. And we want them. I was like, if you look at all of our web pages of the local locations, it has meet the owner. And that's on purpose because they are the brand of the local community. And we're only as good as our people. And so we're a people business. And so it's all about becoming that local authority. And in order to do that, you've got to go out and be visible and educate. The good news is that there's a lot of need and education on aging in place. And so we're invited to speak at a lot of events, especially the media. In September, it was Fall Prevention Month. And, we encourage our owners to reach out to the local media. And, I think we had like 30 media placements in across the United States. And for 100 locations, that's pretty impressive.
No, that's
and
good. That's 30%. That's good.
Yeah. And I'm talking on the news, like the local news, and educating people on fall prevention. And so it provides them an opportunity to go out there and talk about something that is needed and is very top of mind today as far as aging in place goes, and fall prevention, and then educating them on how we fit in and how we can contribute to solve some of these problems.
One of the things I've been doing with franchise brands is helping them create AI acceptable use policies so that local franchisees can use it for networking, for outreach, and for the media, right? So if you have a trained document for True Blue on what our brand standards are and how to ask for the media, and then they use AI to identify the top challenges facing seniors, which you already have many of those, but then it creates the media release for you, the press release for you, the language, and the outreach. So that for those business owners, in my experience, Sean, and I've got 30 years of experience in franchising with, like you do, different experience, of course, but in this industry. And the biggest challenge I found in franchising is the franchisor wants the franchisees to follow their systems and to use the tools. And the franchisee is like, hey, why aren't you driving more business? I bought this franchise, I invested all this money, but why aren't you doing more for me? And so the action step that I'm sharing, I'm sure Sean would share this too, is if you're a franchisee, you have to take responsibility for your local territory and you have to build those relationships like he's talking about it, but don't make it so hard. So I always say that people are good in franchising in one of three areas: marketing and sales, delivering the product or service, so they're a practitioner, or they're good at leadership and management, but they're never good in all three. And so now with the new AI tools, you can level up your skills, and whether it's leveraging content or not. But for those of you listening to this, for full disclosure, if you're recording, this is for information, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We are not giving you legal advice, nor am I telling any of the franchisees or franchisors what you should or shouldn't do other than to follow your systems. That's one thing I would tell you. But I'm just curious, are you using AI for any of your franchisees yet to help them with those media contacts, with that outreach, or with those presentations that they might give to a chamber or to another group?
We are utilizing AI in different areas, but I haven't even thought about it from that perspective, which makes a lot of sense, because when you talk to local owners, the response is, I don't even know where to start, or where to begin. And so to be able to, and then when it comes to local PR or media outreach, it's like identifying the channels and then trying to figure out, what your messaging is. And what I always talk about with local media is, what is the story? Like, what is the human story? Because if you reach the media and say, hey, here's my business and here's what I do, they're like, okay, here's the advertising department. So it's got to be relevant. It's got to be a story that's newsworthy. And so that's what you have to do, is you have to understand how you fit into a newsworthy story and humanize it and personalize it so that it's not a business pitch. because they hear that all day long, and they'll just be like, "Go get an advertisement."
Yeah, I always I do a business growth summit every quarter. I do a business growth summit where I invite people in and we do 3 days of marketing, and we always have a section on publicity. And usually that's where people get scared. They're like, I don't want to do that. That's not me. I don't feel like that. And once I show them the 3-step process, it's pretty easy. Number one, use AI to identify what the top challenges are. That's real easy. Number two, use AI to make the pitch. And the pitch is basically, hi, my name is blank, and I'm with blank, and I've got 3 ideas. So it's ideas, strategies, tactics, myths, methods. We give them a whole list, right? That can help your viewers, listeners, or readers. So media is not media. You've got print media where they have readers. You have audio, which is listeners. So franchisees can get on local podcasts like this podcast. Obviously, is for franchisors and executives like you. But there's thousands of podcasts, even local influencers, where they can get on and talk about senior issues. And I've helped local franchisees get on the morning shows where they get on as a spot first, but then they get a monthly spot or maybe even a weekly spot where they come in and they give a senior update and they give a tip. So the key here for you, those listeners, are you can use tools now. Don't make it so hard to understand what the pitch is. But what's really important that Sean just said, and I want to anchor it, is it's all about the narrative. So what's timely, topical, and relevant? What's going to be of value to the listeners, viewers, or readers? And if you just go to ChatGPT, you can say, I'm a True Blue franchisee and I'm in this city and I'd like to pitch this media with something that would be value based on today, or this month is, preventative fall month or whatever the actionable topic is. But that real takeaway is, in the age that we live in, don't make it harder than it needs to be. And my takeaway for everybody listening would say, if you don't know how to do something yet, I would go to Perplexity or go to ChatGPT and use the tool for step-by-step instructions on how to do that. Now, full disclosure, make sure if you're a franchisee that you put it through compliance and you stay on the brand standards, because I have a lot of franchisees who listen to this episode and I'm not giving them permission to go off brand standards. So follow your systems. But I'm really glad to hear that you guys are doing local media, because I think with your topic, it'd be a slam dunk to get on any media. And I will tell everybody, the key to media, everybody, is not when the episode runs. So when you did those 30 different placements for this month, it's in the repurposing. It's in the repurposing of your brand to sell new franchisees. It's in the repurposing with new customers. So when you go to new customers and you're offering the service and they say, well, why should I use you over Chuck in a truck, which is just some guy with a van and some ladders, is the trust and credibility that comes with the media. Because that's, even though 80% of most things you see on TV are placed media, we get that, but there's still a lot of implied trust with that by being on the media. It's the same reason I do this episode, right? Because I get to talk to CEOs like you. And then when someone's preparing their annual conference, they Google speakers, they look at me and they go, oh, look at all the CEOs he knows. Oh, he's done all these episodes. It's social proof and credibility. So this is a way for me to do media, just like it is with Sean to talk about his company, to be introduced to private equity groups and to franchisors and investors, or maybe new franchisees that are looking for a new business. Because I think that what you guys have is unique. I don't say that on all my episodes, but I look at it from a business standpoint. The market's growing. You offer unique service, because I've never heard of all of my times in franchising. I could list out 10 different senior care companies, but I haven't heard anybody doing what you guys are doing. So you're ahead of the game, and you're really positioned to really offer that confidence and trust is really what I feel like you're selling. Yes, you're selling the services, but really it's the trust factor. It's like me. I have someone who cleans my house. That's probably not politically correct. I probably should look at the maids were a client of mine, and I've got a lot of those companies that are client that I've used. But I have someone come to my house, but I have a team that I've been using for 12 years, a local franchise that I've been using. I would never go. I don't care what the cost is or price is to the other competitor if they offer me a better deal, because I trust the people who I'm doing. And that's what I like about what your brand is, that your franchisees really build that personal relationship, become the prime resource professional, that ally, as you said, to do that. Anyway, any closing thoughts that you'd share with our listeners as a result of what we've been discussing today?
The only thing I would say, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, is that, and I've been in franchising in a lot of different industries, and the top producers in any franchise system would be top producers in any other franchise system. And it's actions. It's taking action. And even if you don't feel like you'd be like, back to the specific topic of media outreach, if you're not comfortable with it and you're not good at it, taking action is still going to be better than not doing anything. And so the franchise owners that are proactive and don't wait for things to happen, they go out and make things happen. And then that's the key to success, I think, in any franchise system I've been in, is to be proactive, always be promoting, always out there telling your story. And you raise another thing, I talk about in training all the time, is like the three components of the business. I kind of have the same ones. There's like the sales and marketing promotion, the administrative person who's, answering the phones and so forth. And then you have the technician who's doing the actual work. And where most franchise owners gravitate towards is the technician and the admin side. And I would say, because that's where the squeaky wheel is.
Right.
And there's the big one that's the most important to success, and that's the sales, marketing, or promotion side, which does not have a squeaky wheel and is the most ignored, but the most critical. And they spend the least amount of time where they should be, and they spend a lot of time doing administrative stuff. And I always talk to my owners, and I'd say to any business owner, is you should be spending as much time on revenue generating activity, which would be promotion and networking, connecting, or recruiting people and employees. And if it's something that is not revenue generating activities, you need to delegate and have someone else handle those, and ensuring that those things get done, obviously. But if you're not focused on promoting and growing your business, you're eventually struggle. And so be ahead of the curve and be very, very proactive in connecting. And it doesn't mean spending money. It doesn't mean always advertising. Our model is heavily referral driven, whether it's existing customers, whether it's just referral sources that are even non-medical, like realtors or whatever it is. There's so much opportunity there. And the owners that are out there telling their story and connecting generate a lot of opportunity, and they're not waiting for things to happen. So that's pretty much what I've learned in small businesses, regardless of the industry. And that's the piece of advice I give anybody who's in a franchise or in small business or looking to get into a small business or a franchise.
Well, that's such great advice. I always look at the three areas of growth. It comes down to three things in working with brands around the globe. Mindset first. If they don't have their mindset dialed in, all the strategies and tactics won't help. Then it becomes strategies. Well, if you're a franchisee, you've got the strategies. You just need to follow the systems. And then, of course, the tactics. What's the highest and best use of your time? And like you said, they spend time on the practitioner delivering the product or service. They spend time on the operations and the admin, because that's where the squeaky wheel is. It needs the grease. But that marketing sales piece sometimes gets overlooked. And when I work with franchisees, I tell them, look, it's about helping and building relationships. It's about consistency. Done is more profitable than perfect. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Follow the systems and don't reinvent the wheel. That's why brands have franchise advisory councils. That's why they have their weekly calls or monthly calls. That's why they have their annual conventions, not just to hear the keynote speakers like me who does an opening keynote, but for the people that are in the room at the conference that might help solve their biggest challenge. And it really is about being proactive, a critical thinker. You want to be coachable, and you want to, again, take action. And I say this in all my keynotes. I'm known for it. It's not what you know, it's how well you execute. And so that way, because you get in the room and I'll be an opening and I'll say something. I can see I look at group dynamics and I can see someone go, oh, I've heard this before, right? And I always think, okay, you've heard it, but let's take a deeper look. And when was the last time you built those relationships with those key influencers? When was the last time you nurtured those relationships? When was the last time you did video testimonials from people that showed you happiness comments? When was the last time you updated your Google reviews? Are you using ChatGPT to answer your Google reviews? Because I show them how to do that. So there's no shortage of opportunity. And I think the real thing when it comes down to selling is I always tell people, forget about the word selling. If selling's what's in your brain because, you had a used car salesman one time give you a bad rap, it's just helping people. Sales and marketing is just giving people enough information that they can make good decisions. It's not tricking. It's not hype or manipulation. It's just giving people enough information that they can make good decisions. You agree?
Oh, 1000%. Absolutely. Yeah. We always talk about the fact that it is, explaining to what they get and what you provide versus what they could get from somebody else. And if you really passionate about what you do, it'll just come natural. It's like, I'm not a salesperson, but I really believe in what we're doing at True Blue, and it really comes across. And that's what we want our owners to talk about, is that people need these services, and you provide a unique service in a way that's different and what way people want. To just talk about that. And the last thing I'll add about the whole networking, and the one thing I think I hear people look at is you're selling, when you're networking, connecting with your community, you're selling tomorrow. And so you're not going to don't expect like, oh, I went out and did it, I got no business. But you're selling for tomorrow's business, and you're planting seeds. And if you just every time that you get an opportunity to speak to somebody, it's a seed. It's a potential of something that's huge. And if you plant enough seeds, one day you're going to wake up and there's going to be a nice forest full of fruit out there that you can draw. And that's what really good, successful businesses do. And it's what I love about home services, is that it's like, I call it the snowball effect. And it's like you get to critical mass. If you take care of your customers, it just can just organically grow and grow because of the fact of that connecting, networking. Customers you take care of are going to tell their friends and family and neighbors. And that's the game. And it's just getting that out there and being patient with it and give it time and not live in today. If you have that mindset, I love that what you said, like, if you have the mindset that I'm out there always promoting and always talking about what I do and how we can serve the community, it'll pay off in dividends. You just have to do it and not expect to have results instantaneously.
Well, thank you so much for being a featured guest on Fortify today. Thanks for tuning in to Fortify Live, where we help growth-minded leaders and innovators level up with bold strategies and practical insights. Until next time, keep innovating, keep leading, and keep fortifying your success. Thanks again, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Fortify Live. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Business Growth Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. We air weekly at 11 a.m. Central Time. So until next week, keep pushing the boundaries and never stop growing.